What's poppin', Funko nerds, and welcome back to another Funko Pop concept list here on Carbonite Collecting, a branch of the Carbonite Convos podcast and YouTube channel. We can't thank you enough for coming back for another pop list, and we are super excited today to bring you part one of Funko Pop concepts from the Phantom Menace. Alec, are you ready for this list?
Dude, I have been ready for this week for a minute. We have been working with these creators to have these made several weeks now. So I cannot wait to talk about these, man. I'm pumped. But before we jump into that, guys, as always, make sure you smash that like button. I am ready to go, man. Why don't you lead us off?
Yes, sir. But before we get started really quick, I think one thing that's so cool about this list is we actually made this list way back before we actually worked with creators and had the pops made. So this is one of the OG lists that we're going back to because now we have pops made up. But starting off the list at number one, it's not a concept, it's actually a custom. And this was a pop that was actually made by the Barba Custom, and it is a Padawan Obi-Wan. I can't believe that we don't have it yet, but I would buy this in a heartbeat.
Dude, every pop on this list, for the most part, I cannot believe we don't have, including this one, which is a Droideka made by Reviver. I can't believe we don't have one.
Yeah, no, and I think one thing that would be really cool is if there's a chase version of this. I don't know which one will be which, but one without the shield and one with the energy shield. But, you know, next on the list, we have Palpatine and his Mechno chair. This is made by Pop-Up Custom, and definitely a really cool, I wouldn't call it a ride per se, but it would definitely be a cool single pop.
Yeah, man. Next up, this is actually one of the most special ones on this list because this pop is actually both a concept and a custom. You can see right here that the concept here is made by the Barba Custom, as well as the physical custom he made of the pop itself, of Qui-Gon wearing the poncho.
Yes, sir. An awesome custom, awesome concept. So I'd like to know which one was made first, but both very cool. Next, we have our ride of one of our rides of the list. We have Maul on his speeder. This is an awesome ride, and it was made by Jay Bavart.
Yeah, man. Next up, another pop made by Reviver. We have the droid TC-14.
Yep, so this was the droid at the beginning of the movie who brings Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan their refreshments. Next, we have Anakin and his pod racer. This was also made by Jay Bavart, and definitely an awesome one that I'd add to my prequel collection.
Oh, dude, that would be an immediate purchase. Next up, speaking of pod racing, we have Ben Quadraneros made by Stafford Christian.
Yep, and a dope single pop, a very underrated character. He had like 10 seconds or 10 to 15 seconds of screen time, but they were, definitely a funny 15 seconds. Next up on the list, we have a B-1 battle droid and a Separatist armored assault tank. This was also made by Reviver and definitely another cool pop ride to add to the list.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And to wrap up part one of the list, we have a pop made by Fun.Concepts and Jay Bavart, and this is Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. And I think this one is so cool, knowing that we now have this three-piece Maul, Kenobi, and Qui-Gon fight coming out, but still a super dope concept and an immediate purchase of mine as well. To kick this thing off, we have a Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi custom pop, not a concept, but a custom made by the Barba Custom.
Yes, sir. So an awesome physical pop that is actually out there in the world. Next,
yes, love that.
Yep. Next, we actually have a concept of that pop. So Padawan Obi-Wan number 2 that is designed by Fun.Concepts.
Yeah, man. Also incredible concept there. Super cool. Number 3 on this list, this is made by Reviver. We have a Droideka pop. We said it in the last video. Cannot believe we don't have one of this already.
Yes, sir. Going off the Separatist side of it, we have Newt Gunray, which is made by What Now Pops. I think this is a really cool concept of one of the main antagonists of this movie, so definitely would add this to the collection.
That would have to go in some sort of villain section of some sort. I would love to have one. Moving on, speaking of villains, we have Palpatine in his Mechno chair. This is made by Pop-Up Custom.
Yes, sir. I wouldn't really call this a ride, but it's just a cool single pop that has a really cool base.
It would still fit in a standard box.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we have Qui-Gon with Poncho. Now, as you can see on the screen, this is the concept version made by the Barba Custom, but he actually made a Barba Custom, and we have that custom on screen now. So definitely a really cool concept that turned into a real pop of Qui-Gon with his poncho.
Yeah, I love when people go out of their way to make the physical pop itself
Yes. Next up on the list, we have Padme in her orange garb. This is also made by Jay Bavart, and this is when they're on Queen Amidala's starship, but before we know that Padme is Queen Amidala, right after they pick up Anakin. Next up, we have one of the rides for the list. We have Maul on his speeder. Now, this is made another one. Maybe we should have spread these out because we had like 5 in a row, made by Jay Bavart. So we have a couple more coming up from him following.
Yeah, we should. Moving on. Another droid on this list that would be an awesome addition to droid collectors. We have TC-14 made by Reviver, and this is the droid at the very, very beginning that bring Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon their refreshments.
Yes, sir. Next up on the list, we're going to take it to Tatooine, and we have Anakin in his pod racer. This is yet another ride on the list made by Jay Bavart.
Yeah, man. So we are moving into the pod racer part of this list, and we have another pop made by Jay Bavart of Sebulba in his pod racer. We finally got a Sebulba a little while back, but this one will be of him driving his pod racer.
Yes, sir. And rounding off the pod racing portion of this list, we have arguably one of the most famous pod racers in the game. We have Ben Quadraneros made by Stafford Christian.
Yeah, man. I don't know how, but on this list, I keep getting these droids, but this one is actually a droid ride, and this is a B1 battle droid on the Separatist Armored Assault Tank. This one is also made by Reviver.
Yes, sir. And one more made by Reviver. We have Anakin in the Nubian Starfighter. So now we're taking these last few pops to the final climactic battle of the movie. So we have Anakin and his Starfighter.
Yeah, man. So next up, we have another pop of Padme, but this one is her specifically on the assault on Naboo, and this one is made by Jay Bavart.
Yes, and Queen Amidala's captain, made by the Barba Custom, we have Captain Panaka. We put these two together because they're wearing very similar clothing, so definitely cool pops, but it might even be cooler if it was a 2-pack, but this one made by the Barba Custom. But guys, we can't thank you enough for coming back for not only part 1 last week, but the final version of this list from the Phantom Menace. Again, if there are any specific ones that you like on the list, make sure you comment, and if you have any ideas of what could have made the list, make sure to put those down there as well. But until next week's list and, the slew of videos we have coming out in the future, make sure to keep it popping.